Good afternoon. I just want to welcome everybody to the first of two virtual sessions for the Teach Ag campaign this year. So this one is a teacher panel where teachers get to brag about their profession, where we get to talk about some of the best things and share some stories about the job that we do. Because at the end of the day, we are in this career not for the fat checks, not for the weekends off, not for the evenings off. We do it because we love what we do, because we work with great students every single day. So I just want to thank you all for being here, teachers and students included. I just want to first start off by saying we have a pretty good mix of teachers. Some that have no experience, not no experience, a little bit of experience. And then we have some teacher who has been teaching for a while now. And I'm talking about Mr. Leatherwood, who was my cooperating teacher while I was student teaching. I got to point him out because I just have to. Now, students, there's a couple of you guys, Payson, Andrea, Tyler, and Grace. If you guys want to take some time before we begin, just so we can kind of get a good feel for you guys, would you guys mind introducing yourself? Just tell us your name, what chapter you represent, and your favorite thing about Ag, FFA, all that. Payson, would you like to go first?
Payson Merrill from the Guyman FFA chapter, and my favorite thing, that's kind of hard to choose, but maybe either show animals or welding.
Cool, good deal. Andrea, would you like to go?
I'm Andrea Martin. I'm from the Bing FFA chapter. My favorite thing would either be showing or public speaking.
Awesome. Tyler?
My name is Tyler Stewart from Rush Springs FFA chapter. My favorite thing about FFA would have to be showing pigs.
Grace, what about you?
I'm Grace Brookins. I'm from the Norman FFA chapter, and my favorite thing is showing sheep.
Cool. And Cassie, don't embarrass me now. She's from Okarche. What is your favorite thing about FFA? And tell us where you're from. She told me she might have some trouble with connecting with audio, so we'll just go on if she can't talk. I think that's Aaron is the next one. We'll wait a minute too for you. If you're from a small town, we get it. We sometimes we have some technical difficulties with that. Now I'd like to start by introducing our teachers. Aaron, are we good? Would you like to introduce yourself, man? You might have to unmute yourself.
We're good. We're good now. I know. I think.
Awesome. Aaron, where are you from and what's your favorite thing in Ag or FFA?
I'm from Rush Springs and I like showing pigs.
Good deal. Awesome. All right, now I just want to take some time, and I know there's a lot of introductions here, but I feel like it's important to just kind of know who the teachers are in this group. So I'd like the teachers to just kind of go around and say their name, where they teach at, and how many years they've been teaching, and maybe just a little fun fact about your teaching experience, something about you that makes you unique as a teacher. Let's go ahead and start off with Logan so we can go ahead and get him out of the way.
Thanks, Cody. My name is Logan Johns. I teach Ag at Meeker Public Schools. For those of you that are way on the other side of the state, you probably don't know where Meeker is. It's just a little ways east of Oklahoma City. As far as one thing that sets me aside from other teachers that a lot of people probably know or don't know is that I'm also a musician. So I think that makes me a little, maybe students pay attention to me a little more sometimes because they think I'm just this really cool dude that's also in a band, but probably not. So that's a fun thing about me, I guess.
Bethany, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Bethany Reiterman. I am the ag teacher here in Lone Grove, Oklahoma. This is my dog, Ozzy. Sorry about that. This is my second year teaching. Something that sets me apart is that I am not from the state of Oklahoma. I'm originally from Ohio. Sorry. So I'd like to think that makes me a better teacher, but I'm learning a lot very quickly that the state of Oklahoma is a little different, and it's a lot. So you guys go hard in a lot of things, and it's been fun so far.
Michelle?
Sure. Hello, I'm Michelle Harper. I am one of 2 ag teachers at Medill. I've been teaching 22 years, and I guess unique to our situation is that my husband and I teach together here at Medill.
Kenny, would you like to tell us about yourself a little bit?
Sure. I'm Kenny Leatherwood, and this is my 34th year of teaching. I've been here at Edmond for 25. I really don't think there's anything unique about me other than that I've just stuck it out this long. And I'm certainly happy that I have, because it's something I've really enjoyed doing. And I'm not looking forward to those end days, which are coming pretty close.
Mr. Branscombe?
Hey guys, I'm Robbie Branscombe. I have not been alive as long as Mr. Leatherwood has been teaching ag. But this is my 8th year of teaching ag, and I've had a little bit of mix of both. I taught 3 years at Oilton, so a really small Class A school. And the last 5 years I've taught at Stillwater, which is a 3-teacher program, Class 6A. Probably nothing, I guess, really unique as well. I would say probably compared to any other person on these Zoom calls, we probably had less days in school than anybody else this year. And so ag teachers, we learn how to adapt and evolve. And I just got through with 3 hours of Zoom classes. So what sets me apart is I'm all about masks and costumes for my Zoom calls. So if you looked at my desk beside me here, you're going to see all sorts of really weird, sketchy stuff. So I don't have students here, so I just entertain myself.
All right. And Dr. Ramsey, I'll give you some time now to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Hey, one of the cool, my name is John Ramsey. I'm from Oklahoma State University. I'm one of 3 teacher preparation programs. There's 2 active teacher preparation programs in the state of Oklahoma. And hopefully you'll get a chance to come through our program and let us help you think about agricultural education as a positive college major and career choice. I think the unique thing about me is that I've taught every one of these teachers except for Michelle Harper and Mr. Leatherwood. But Michelle Harper and I share something in common, and we both taught at the same high school at Atoka. And Mr. Leatherwood and I taught within about 10 miles of each other at one time. So that's kind of cool. And this is my 32nd year of being involved in agricultural education at either the secondary or post-secondary level. Really excited to see you guys and the interest that you have in agricultural education this afternoon.
Dr. Ramsey, while you're still talking, I would love for you to just kind of, I guess, give us a little elevator speech about OSU Ag Ed. Tell us, give us your best marketing campaign. You have about 30 seconds.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the highlights of my marketing campaign when I talk to prospective students is we've got the best scholarship program in the country. We have a group of folks that really believe in the pipeline of school-based ag ed teachers. We have over $1 million in scholarships that we can provide to young people as they train to become high school ag teachers. And what is even better is, and some of these folks on the call have taken advantage of this, we now have a stipend for you the semester that you student teach. So from a scholarship perspective and a faculty perspective and the folks that help you through the program, all of us have been ag teachers at one point or another. And so you really get a chance to learn from folks that have done the job.
Great, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. My first bit of questions are for Mr. Branscombe. And this is because of he really does an awesome job of working with students and teaching students about the Agri-Science Fair. I think he's got to be one of the best in the state, if not the whole country. It's something I really admire about him. So, Mr. Branscombe, I'd just like to give you a little bit of time to tell us a little bit about the Agri-Science Fair and how it's grown in your program.
Absolutely. First of all, I would say this is a great example. You guys that all have come from different programs, and maybe you're worried that you don't have experience in a certain area. So, you know, for example, maybe you don't weld and you're like, how am I going to be able to teach welding when it's not something I'm good at? I didn't even know what the Agri-Science Fair was until my 3rd year of teaching. And this is my 8th year of teaching. So it's not something that I've done for a very long time, but I really enjoy it. And we make every single 8th grader in our Stillwater Ag program do an agri-science research project. So they can pick any old topic and be something really complicated to compete with, or some good old boy might find out what type of bait catches more fish. And we walk them through the scientific method with that. And they love that they tell their moms that they have to go fishing for their ag class grade. But one thing that's really good about that is every student in your program has to have an SAE of some sort. And we normally think of like showing or working for someone. However, a research project is an SAE project. So all of our 8th graders in our program have some type of research project, and that counts as their SAE in the AET program. A small percent of those students will actually compete, but it's a great way to get national recognition through the Agri-Science Fair or proficiency awards. So we've had a lot of fun doing that the last few years.
Robbie, can you tell me a little bit about, as a teacher, what is the coolest part about the Agri-Science Fair as an instructor?
I think it's really cool to see students tied in with their SAE projects. Since a lot of you students mentioned that you show, it's really cool to see students that, let's say, come from a swine SAE project and show pigs, and they want to test something out on their own SAE projects, and they want to find out what feed will help pigs grow better. And we have a lot of chicken showers. That's one of my passions. And so students may be testing different type of lights. We have strobe lights. When you walk in our ag barn right now, strobe lights flashing on a set of chickens. It looks like we have a party going on. But we found that actually makes the chickens grow faster. And so for students to be able to take their quote normal SAE and tie it in with something really cool that they're learning from a research project, it makes it really matter. And I think that's neat.
Thank you, Mr. Branscombe. Mr. Johns, your chapter received a pretty cool and prestigious award this year. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started teaching, I took the job in the summer of 2019. And I walked into a chapter that chapter officers had never been on like any sort of a officer planning retreat or any sort of an activity to plan out their year. And so I kind of introduced to them the thought of a national chapter award, what exactly that meant, how we could be working towards some different awards on the national level. And so for those of you students out there that your chapter work towards a program of activities that has a good amount of diversity on it. Congratulations to you. That's something that not a whole lot of chapters in the nation do. So you guys should be very proud of that. But my chapter was fortunate enough to win the Model of Excellence Award. And for those of you that don't know what that is, basically, whenever you turn in that application for National Chapter Award, they go through your application and they look at it and they decide if it's a 1, 2, or a 3-star. And if they decide that it's a 3-star, well, then they go through that and they decide what the top 10 3-star chapters are in the nation. And they put it out there that Meeker FFA had qualified for that. And this year, we didn't get to go to National Convention to actually compete. There's several ag teachers on here that are feeling that pain. And so instead, we had to record a video. There was not an interview portion on that this year. I guess that might have helped us, might have hurt it. Well, I guess it didn't hurt us, but so, and my students they competed in that, and we spent about 15 hours recording the video and putting it together, and we submitted that. And then at National Convention, they announced that Meeker FFA was the #1 chapter in the nation. So that's a little bit of background behind that. The one thing I do want to say is that A lot of people keep saying that I had a lot to do with it, and really it wasn't me. It was the students and the kids in the chapter that really made that happen.
So, Logan, now I know a lot about the cool things that you guys did throughout the year last year to help earn that, but I would like for you to talk about a couple of those that are different, that maybe a lot of FFA chapters would never even think about. You want to talk about a couple of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So for starters, I would say one of the number one activities that might have set our POA aside is our food wars. And basically what that was, for those of you that have heard of penny wars or coin wars, whatever you call it, we took that concept, but we applied it to food, specifically around the Thanksgiving time. So that did a couple of different things. Number one, it allowed for us to get Thanksgiving themed food items. And number two, it helped us keep from getting undesirable, like they might have been non-perishable food items, but like how many of us have been like, oh, a canned food drive, I'm going to grab the can of black eyed peas I've still got sitting here from New Year's Eve. So like that's, kind of what the concept was behind that. And then we took that and we put it all across the school, and then all of the Thanksgiving food items that we got donated, we took that and we created, I think that year we did 5 Thanksgiving baskets, and then the FFA chapter pitched in a little bit of money, and we were able to purchase turkeys at the local grocery store. And then the people that got the baskets were able to walk in with a ticket, give them the ticket. They gave them the turkey just to kind of protect their privacy and things like that. And so, they got the turkey, they got a huge Thanksgiving basket. Another big thing that we did, you see that healthy lifestyles on there and you think, well, that's got to be something that's exercise related. And that's what we did. We did a step challenge. What made it a little different, I think, was probably that we set it up to where it was teachers versus students. So literally, like, I would be walking in the hallways and I would see teachers that would be teaching class, and they look like they're dancing because they were taking their steps while they were teaching class. And so that was something that was kind of fun and unique. And then another pretty good one that really we didn't have a whole lot invested in, but still turned out to be really fun and unique. We did a celebrity showmanship at our local show. And basically kind of what that started off with was, we had kids that taught older stakeholders in the community that maybe didn't know a whole lot about showing livestock that still showed up to the show. They put on like a short showmanship clinic for them. And then those people were then nominated to show an animal at, that's my 7th hour bell. Those people in the community were then nominated to show an animal, and if they wanted to show the animal, then they wouldn't do it, but if they wanted to get out of it, they had to pay twice the amount of money. So it kind of worked out either way. But that's a couple of the things that we put on our program of activities.
Awesome, thank you. Now when I think of ag teachers in the state of Oklahoma, I think of some of my best friends. I think people who are family. Michelle, can you tell me about how teachers in Oklahoma kind of support each other and how they often seem like family?
Sure, Cody, and I totally agree with you. Sorry, my lights go off every 15 minutes, so we'll just have to deal with kind of being in the dark. But I totally agree with you. And as a matter of fact, I think our teacher association, now my bell's going off. Our teacher association really has added to my longevity in the profession, because I felt like unique to teaching ag, unlike teaching any other subject in school, is that I have folks who are going through the things I'm going through day to day, who I can call on to bounce ideas off of. We've just been able to create a fellowship, and I think some folks a long time ago were really smart in knowing that the way to make Oklahoma ag education better was to for all of us to row the boat together, so to speak, and the group is stronger than the individual. And so the reason some of you students hopefully have chosen that maybe ag teaching is in your future is that there are some really great opportunities you've had through Ag Ed. And I think that the reason Oklahoma Ag Ed is as strong as it is because we have a strong ag teacher organization that tries to work to make the profession better. And so it can be everything from, professional development or, serving in a leadership role within the organization or serving on a committee that makes decisions about how to make some of our competitive events better or, our livestock shows better. And personally, the organization has done things to make sure they benefit ag teachers in a way if they have hardships or if they need help every now and then. But for me personally, being a part of the leadership component of our Ag Teacher Association has really allowed me to build a network of people that I call friends and that I can call on if I need to ask questions or things like that. And so it really has made my longevity in the profession, easier, so to speak.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Now joined us is Mr. Scott Nemechek. He's the current state FFA advisor. I'm going to give him time to introduce himself and also just give us some words of wisdom from the great owl.
Well, thanks, Cody. Sorry I'm late. I just got out of a meeting here at the agency, so it is good to see everyone on here. I see some familiar faces and some younger faces, and that's a great thing to see. And for those of you who are joining and thinking about being an ag teacher, that's exactly what we want. We need more ag teachers. Very, very important. The success of our programs in the future are very dependent upon quality of teachers, and lots of these teachers that are talking with you today that I see on here are very high quality teachers, and lead their programs well and do a great job of that. And so anytime we hear anybody on staff here at the State Department can help you, those area program specialists or myself or Mr. Lucas, certainly reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to answer questions or help you in any way. My background is I'm kind of almost as old as Mr. Leatherwood on here, so very close at least. And I taught for 3 years. I started at Perry in Northwest Oklahoma. And then I taught for 32 years at Owasso just prior to joining the staff here at the State Department this summer. And so I have several former students who are teachers, ag teachers now. And hopefully I'll have some more former students in the near future that will become teachers as well. So again, anytime that we can do anything for you here, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thank you, Mr. Nemechek. All right, this next question is for Bethany. Bethany, you are not from Oklahoma. You said that earlier. You're from the great state of Ohio. What got you interested in, first off, teaching in Oklahoma? That's my first question is why did you come to Oklahoma and why are you teaching in Oklahoma? Because there's a lot of space between here and Ohio.
Yeah, actually there's about a 17-hour drive from where I'm at now to my hometown. So it's a tough one. But originally, I think what drew me to the state of Oklahoma was the ag program at Oklahoma State for sure. Sorry about my bell as well. But sorry. I just think it's different in the state of Oklahoma. Every aspect of our job is competitive. And I think that's what really drew me to it. When Oklahoma is represented on the national level in any aspect, we're not necessarily feared, but we're very respected because it is well known that Oklahoma is successful. So whether that is in CDEs, whether that is a leadership thing, whether that is livestock, everyone kind of knows that Oklahoma brings it. And so that has been a really cool part of my job of just seeing how different it is from Ohio to Oklahoma. But it's been an awesome experience. And just the aspect of the teachers here too. They work hard to be successful. So we're surrounded by incredible mentors, and that family aspect that Miss Harper was referring to. There's not a teacher in the state of Oklahoma that I wouldn't reach out to and say, hey, I need help with this. Do you have any experience with this? What would you recommend doing in this situation? You are consistently backed by people who have been there and done that, and can either say, hey, this is what I did and this is what I would recommend, or hey, I did this and it was horrible and it tanked. Do not do this. Let's maybe try something different. Just that family aspect has been incredible.
Awesome, thank you. So you've talked a little bit about contests and CDEs, LDEs. You want to tell me about your favorite contests that you participate, that you help out with, and that you help train as an ag teacher?
So don't tell my kids the answer to this, because there's a consistent fight in Lone Grove of it being between shooting sports and opening and closing ceremonies or public speaking in general. So personally, I enjoy the public speaking side of things. It's something that I just have found a lot of success in. And I like seeing kids go from the awkward kid in the corner to giving the creed and absolutely becoming a whole new student. And shooting sports was something that I had absolutely zero experience with walking into it. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be really fun. These kids are going to make fun of me the second I walk into this position. But I've learned so much, and we've been relatively successful in that side of things too. So letting the kids kind of take those responsibilities, they knew what they were doing, and they love to be successful. So letting them kind of take over and doing what they know what to do, and letting them be successful in that side of things has been cool.
Awesome, thank you. Miss Dale, I just realized you haven't been able to introduce yourself, so I'd like for you to do that now.
Okay, my name is Cameron Dale, and I'm teaching currently at Bartlesville High School and our middle schools. I've been teaching for 8 years. I'm taught 5 years at Elgin and 2 years at Newcastle. And I'm part of the STAR committee that I'm sure someone's already talked about, but that kind of leads in some of these events to recruit quality ag teachers and then retain the quality ag teachers, some that I see here today that I'm really excited. So thank you for coming, and I'm excited to hear more from our panelists.
All right, so we saved the best for last, I'd say. Mr. Leatherwood, I would just like for you to talk a little bit about, first off, how the job has changed, and then second, which is to me is way more important, is you received an awesome, I think probably one of the cooler awards that an ag teacher can get in the state of Oklahoma this last year. And I'd like for you to talk about that and what that award is.
Well, first off, you asked the question, has the job changed much? And I think back to 1985, whenever I started, and how wide-eyed I was and not knowing what to expect. But one of the things that I can say that probably has changed the most has been the opportunities that we had before getting to meet with other ag teachers on a regular basis. Whenever Mr. Nemechek and I first started, we were getting to do what we call PI meetings once a month. And I know some ag teachers used to groan and moan about that, but goes back to what Mrs. Harper said earlier about ag teachers helping one another and getting ideas from one another. That seemed to be an opportunity for once a month that we would get together and get to share maybe some of our successes, some of our woes and concerns. And it was just an opportunity that we really got to be together and start making those connections and those bonds as ag teachers. Those kind of things have changed a little bit, and I'm really glad to see that something like this is happening again here, so ag teachers can kind of get on and talk with one another and share their experiences and things like that. There has been a lot of water run under the bridge since 1985, but I can tell you this, that as far as the rewards and the excitement for this particular career, it doesn't do anything but just get better and better and better as the years have gone by. So that's one of the things that I could say that I've enjoyed the most about my career as an ag teacher. One of the things that I do enjoy is being able to introduce myself as an ag teacher, simply because of some of the people that I've been able to be associated with over the years have been some of the greatest guys and girls that I have had the opportunity to work with and be around. And so it is just a opportunity for me whenever I get to say that I'm an ag teacher. That's a little bit of that's I'm pretty proud of that. And I think each and every one of you on the panel would have to share that same sentiment with me, because of the things that we get to do, the students that we get to work with. Somebody asked me once, well, why didn't you go on and become an administrator? And the reason why I didn't is because of the students that I get to work with every day. I feel like the students that I have are the cream of the crop, and they are in every school that I've only worked in 2 schools, but those 2 that I've got to work in, those are the best students in those high schools. And so that's the reason why I've stayed in this position. Just like you said at the beginning, it wasn't because of the big check, but I can tell you that I have not wanted for anything because of the opportunities that I've had and have gotten to do in this program. The mentor teacher award that I was blessed with this year is one that probably, like you said, is probably the highest on my bucket list, and simply because, and it's the most thing that I'm proud of, simply because I think of all the teachers that have mentored me throughout the years. And so I've just been collectively able to put those things together and utilize those in what I do. I think if I get this quote right, I read a quote by Nick Saban, and he said he didn't invent any of this stuff that he's done. He's learned it from somebody, and he just continually is looking for somebody to learn something from every day. And so that's kind of the way I've been. And so whatever I've learned from somebody else, then I've just enjoyed being able to pass it along to someone else as the time has gone by with student teachers and students. And I've got a collection of all of you on this panel today.
Thank you. Now, for those of you that do not know, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Leatherwood might be the only teacher in the state that teaches only agricultural mechanics. And he does a great job of that. In fact, a lot of the things that I do in my shop and in my ag mechanics laboratory, I have learned from Mr. Leatherwood. Mr. Leatherwood, would you like to just comment on that and about how students grow in laboratory settings in agricultural education?
Well, I back whenever I started only teaching ag mechanics, it became such a popular class here at Edmond that we had to add more classes so that it would accommodate the number of students that were interested in the program. Because whenever I first came here 25 years ago, I did teach all other classes just like all the rest of you are doing. And then as the program grew and in both size and popularity, then we were able to add all those classes to accommodate those students. And so it's been a pretty good gig for me because I really enjoy being out in the shop, because one of the things that I can honestly say, and I tell this to my students every year, why I like teaching this class is because at the end of the year, I can honestly say that all the students have learned something. I can remember back whenever I used to teach Agri-Science 1 and would give an end of the year test or something and ask a student like, what's the color of a Hampshire hog? You'd be surprised the number of students couldn't remember that. But at the end of the year in my lab classes, because they work every day hands-on, at the end of the year, they know how to light a cutting torch, they know how to run a bead, they know how to do those type things. And and just the satisfaction that I have in that is that I feel like that I've taught them that. And so that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about teaching these classes, because I feel quite confident that every day that I get a chance to teach the students something, and they are actually learning it and retaining it, and it's something that they can use in years to come, whether it's in a career or just in a shop of their own. I just feel like that it's something that is pretty useful.
Thank you. I just want to remind you guys, if you have any questions, make sure to just put them in the chat and I can ask them. My next question is for Michelle. Michelle, what originally interested you in teaching agriculture?
Well, it sounds a little, I don't know, uneventful, I suppose, but my dad was an ag teacher. And, you know, as the child of an ag teacher, and I figure my two boys maybe feel the same way, I don't know. You know, our family lived and breathed things that my dad was doing, you know, and so oddly enough, I guess when I got the chance to make the decision about what my future held, it just seemed like, you know, that was the place I wanted to go. To be honest, there was a little bit of, my mother didn't want me to do that, so that pushed me even harder, you know. At the time when I made that decision and when I went to OSU, I believe there were only 4 women teaching ag in Oklahoma at the time. And so there was a little bit of drive there. Aside from the fact that I just loved the things that we got to be involved in as a student, which I hope some of you guys obviously are experiencing now, and you thought, this is where I want to continue to be a part of this. I did not realize, like Bethany alluded to earlier, or Ms. Riderman alluded to earlier, that just how hard I would have to work to do all the things that an ag teacher needs to do, wants to do for their students. You know, I kind of thought I just get to run around showing livestock a lot, but there was a lot more to that. And so that was good for me. And so it all 22 years later, it was the right decision for me.
Thank you, Michelle. You know, I think about, I just had a daughter, I say just 10 months ago, but I think about the kind of life I want her to have and how I want her to grow up. And I feel like there's no better way to raise them than in an ag building. So I really, really appreciate you saying that. Mr. Branscombe, why are you an ag teacher?
Well, I think that this year has really shown me why I'm an ag teacher, because I think we all get kind of burnt out and tired and exhausted. And I've went about 10 months without teaching an entire 5-day school week. And I miss these kids so much. And I realized that I was thinking last night, even the things that used to annoy me, like, you know, the ornery things that kids would do in class, or, you know, acting up or whatever. Like, I miss just jumping kids in class. I miss the interactions, and I love the connections that I build with kids. I mean, you know, my wife is a science teacher, and she gets kids for 1 year and they move on. You know, I get to be part of kids' lives for these 5 years they go through ag. In fact, this is my 5th year at Stillwater, and this will be my first 8th grade class that I've seen all the way to graduation. And I love those connections and those interactions. And I really think that's why all of us do it. I mean, ag is just a vehicle to touch kids' lives. I mean, we're really here just to make a difference, and we all do it in totally different ways. And that's definitely why I teach ag. I think it's great.
Thank you, Ms. Riderman. What does your typical day look like as an ag teacher?
I think that's a very interesting question, Cody, because honestly, there is not a day that is consistent with this job. And honestly, I think that's one of my favorite parts of the job. It is absolutely not a 9-to-5 job. There is not something every day that happens that is the same throughout the week. It is very different. You teach different classes throughout the day, so your lessons are different every day. Your kids are different. You could get a call at any point to go to the livestock barn and work with your pigs, or you could be preparing a CDE team, or you could be preparing for the banquet or an upcoming event. there's always something going on. So you stay very busy. My kids like to joke, I have sticky notes all over my desk because there's always something that I need to remind myself to do or remember before I leave school to do or check in or something. So it's different day to day, but I think that's a good thing. It shouldn't be looked at negatively because it's different and you stay on your toes all day, every day.
Thank you, Ms. Reiterman. Mr. Johns, what is your all-time favorite activity as an ag teacher?
Well, I guess I'm really just going to kind of give these students on here a little bit more of a glimpse of what it's like being in the ag ed profession. I think that absolutely one of the best things that we get to do as ag teachers is our Oklahoma Summit in the summertime. And that's just because while we do love being able to congregate as ag teachers with our students, that's a time for us to be ag teachers with ag teachers. That's a time for us to be together as friends. And so just having that time to be able to recognize the hard work of our colleagues is really, really cool. And then B, after that's over, having the time to be able to, talk with one another and have that camaraderie. And I think that that's why a lot of us have had a lot of issues with the profession, particularly this year, is because we haven't, just like it's important for our students to get together and see each other and to have fun, it's important for us ag teachers to be able to get together and see each other and have fun, because I think that network has a lot to do with it. And so it was something that I never really even expected to enjoy. But being able to see all of your friends and your colleagues in one spot, that doesn't really happen now with COVID, but that's all right. Reason why we're on this Zoom call, right? So just being able to spend that time together at summer conference, or as what it's called now, Oklahoma Summit, is a really good thing for ag teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Johns. Mr. Leatherwood, I feel like our job is seasonally busy sometimes. I feel like at times I feel like we work, we do that 40-hour work week by Tuesday noon. And other times I feel like I can coast a little bit. And usually that month is June, but I was wondering, what is for you, what is the most fun time of year to be an ag teacher and why?
Well, yeah, I could probably say June too, but not really. I would think probably, I'm going to have to say April. And I know all of you may say, well, that's a busy time, but that's a time whenever we get to show off our students at that last month of the year, and kind of show off what we've been doing throughout the year, and get to go to the CDE contest, speech contest, and then the State FFA convention. To me, like what Logan just said a minute ago, not only is that an opportunity for our students to get to compete and kind of showcase what they've been doing throughout the school year, but us ag teachers get together and maybe sometimes some of us get to have some bragging rights, and sometimes some of us have to humble ourselves a little bit and learn something and be better the next year. But to me, that's always my favorite time of year is, some of you may say the preparation, but it's not me. I enjoy seeing what the end result is. And because sometimes it's been good and sometimes not so good, but always it's always a time of just getting to show off what we've been doing throughout the year.
Thank you, Mr. Leatherwood. Mr. Branscombe, you have taught at a small town, and now you're in a much larger school district. And, growing up, I'm from Agra, Oklahoma, which there's more tractors than people, I feel like, in that town. And there's also not many shoes being worn, I feel like. That's a joke, obviously. I'm just joking there, but I never thought, I never really understood what would be going on in an urban program. And I know a couple of you guys that are listening are from small programs. So I'd like for you to talk a little bit about what it's like teaching at an urban school district.
Yeah. And I guess we've got the Edmond guys on here, kind of the same boat. Some of the things that I really like, first of all, when I taught at a single teacher program, you know, it was just me and I did everything. And I can remember the first time cattle was the only species that I did not show. And I can remember like my first month on the job, they're like, hey, can you clip this heifer for me? And I'm like, what do you want it to look like at the end? Because this isn't going to end well. Because I had never done that before. And one thing I like about coming to a larger program is we do get to split up and focus on certain things. You know, as you mentioned, agri-science is my thing. I still don't touch show cattle because I have a teaching partner who's far better at it than me, and Mr. Nipper. And so I like that. In terms of just looking at an urban ag program, I think one of the unique things is most of my students come into class having no clue about or really any experiences ag related. In fact, the first day of school, I have them close their eyes and I say, how many of you think the difference in genders of cattle is based on their horns? That male cattle have horns and females do not. And 3/4 of the class will think it's true. And I'm saying, okay, there's my starting point. But from there, we get to work with some really unique, non-traditional ag things. We do beekeeping out here. We have our aquaponics system up and running. We're doing drones and robotic agriculture. And so I think getting to find a lot of the non-traditional ag things, because these students aren't going to leave here and go work on the farm. But some of them actually do have beehives in town. And so finding that way to connect with those kids in unique situations.
Thank you. Now, there's a few more of us that teach in more rural areas. Would somebody like to tell me a little bit about what makes that unique compared to an urban? Because I know at least one student grew up in a more urban area. So would you mind talking a little bit about what makes rural agricultural education unique?
Well, I will, just a little bit. I think on the flip side of that, as you guys have probably already guessed, our clientele in a rural school, or at least here in Medill, has a little more agriculture background. And so for me, that is a jumping off point for us to get started in different things, but it's also an opportunity to talk about sometimes how agriculture is changing, because sometimes their experiences are based in, you know, what dad or grandpa or grandma has taught them about agriculture. So it's always fun to talk about the technology and research and things like that that go on in agriculture. But we do have a lot of students that come from some agriculture background. They're actively involved in agriculture in the summer. Maybe they're hauling hay, or they've got their own small herd of cows or sheep or whatever. And so they have some unique experiences that they bring to us. And then also, I would say from the school standpoint, just with every, you know, day-to-day inside the school, our student body's smaller. Most all the kids know all the other kids, you know, and our community maybe, I don't know, they may be a little more engaged in what's going on in our ag chapter, and we might have a little more community involvement than maybe in some urban areas. And maybe we have a unique opportunity that we don't necessarily have to market what we're doing quite the same way as you might have to in like an urban area. So our community seems to be really engaged and interested in what we're doing in our ag program, and that kind of maybe just comes from being a small community.
Thank you for that. All right. So as we come to the end of this, students, I just want to know if you guys have any questions, if there's anything burning in you guys that you guys want to ask. I'll take silence as a no. Teachers, anything else you guys want to say? Anything good for the cause?
One thing I'd like to say, first of all, thank all of you students for joining in with us. And I also want to extend a special thank you to all of our guests and our panel. We cannot thank you enough. And students, I want to tell you right now, these are folks that you want to remember. These are some great mentors for you as you work your way through, finishing high school, college, and then entering your first job. These are many teachers that are going to be the kind of people that we all look up to in the profession. They already are. And they're the folks that are here to help you. The reason these people have taken time out of their afternoon to meet with you on Zoom is because they care about the future of our profession. And they want, motivated, excited, and qualified students to continue to fill our shoes and be our peers. And so now that you've made this connection with this panel of teachers, you've put a face to the names of these folks and their school district that they're at. Do not hesitate to reach out to them as you continue to stay involved in FFA. If you see us at an event, hopefully we'll have more events in person going forward. Don't hesitate to come up and talk to one of us and say, hey, I visited or I saw you at the Teach Ag Zoom meeting. We'd love to talk with you. We'd love to talk with you more about teaching ag, anything. Talk about our life and our lifestyle. It's something that, it's not for everyone, but it is something that we're all very proud of. Everybody here today has had so many good comments, but what I also want to point out to you is we're excited also for our event on Thursday afternoon to be the second half of this. And that is going to be focusing on your pathway to teaching agricultural education. Dr. Ramsey introduced himself today, but you're going to get to hear from our teacher trainer institutes here in the state, as well as some pre-service teachers, and get some more immediate advice on what can I start doing now and all throughout my college experience to help get me set up to be a successful ag teacher. I wish I would have had the thought and the forethought to ask those kind of questions. And so if you have any of those questions, don't forget to refer back to the email with the survey that's been sent to you, because we'd like to be able to have those prepared for our panel of pre-service teachers and teacher prep faculty that are going to be there. But that's going to be this upcoming Thursday at 5 p.m. And we really appreciate your attention and your attentiveness. Mr. Dean is from Okarche. Mr. Dean, do you have anything else you would like to add, or anyone else in our panel?
I'd just like to end by saying this is a very unique profession. I don't think there's another job out there where you can make the difference that you make, that no 2 days are ever the same, where you can earn a good living, where you can raise your family in the barns that you work and in the classroom that you work. I think there's not another opportunity, at least that I know of, or there's anything close to this. I'm very, very proud to be an ag teacher, and I know the people who are on this panel with me are as well. So I'm real excited to see you guys in your future and see what you guys do, and I hope to see you as an ag teacher in a couple of years. So thank you guys, and thank you everybody for coming, for helping out, for being a part of the panel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and do not forget about Thursday from 5 to 6 will be a college panel.
End it.